Hello, guys. It's Mark Zickery, Mr. Sci-Fi, and we're doing the live stream with the weekly table meeting. So let's see how this goes. But I hope you're all having a very good day. And I'm getting onto the table, and Elaine will be joining us momentarily. Hi, guys. Join audio. There we go. Hi, guys. Wow, Adam's there. So hi, guys. Wow.
Yeah, David, go ahead and mute it.
Yeah, I am Mark. I am also currently on the Mr. Sci-Fi watching you live. Adam's going to get me set up so that I can watch the questions and run questions for him.
Great.
Right.
Terrific.
And because I got to go.
Okay, bye.
So Adam, how do I do that? I'm on Mr. Sci-Fi now, but all I see is Mark and Elaine.
There's a chat.
Yeah. Look at the chat maybe underneath it or to the side. Click up. There should be a thing that says live chat. Click on that.
Yeah.
Top chat.
Live chat.
Looks like I have live chat. Zicky says hi.
Yeah, so that should be it.
Go.
Yeah,
okay.
So just as people, so we'll just see if we can make this
keep
work.
An eye on that.
Right.
All right.
Good.
See you guys.
Bye. Bye. Say hi. Say hi to the bears. Say hi to the bears.
Thanks, Adam.
Okay. Bye. So hi, guys. So it's another table meeting and Mr. Sci-Fi Live, and here we all are. Welcome. Hope you're all staying healthy and safe. So we'll just start with now. Is anyone east of the Mississippi tonight? Anyone from the East Coast?
Anyone?
Nope.
Is that New York? Is that
Yeah,
New York?
New York counts.
Oh yeah, I'm East.
Wait,
Okay,
I'm sorry. I heard
she's East.
Kathleen is East.
Yeah. New York.
Hi, I'm here in
Okay.
LA, but I wanted to introduce Ani. She's new tonight
Ani.
to the membership. I was with you guys in the 20 years ago, and you guys really helped me so much and kickstart my career coming back from after I've been out of the country for years, and it was great. And Ani just graduated with a Bachelor of Arts.
Great.
She's a writer. She loves sci-fi, video games, all that stuff. I'll let her about it, but I just wanted you guys to meet because she is fabulous. Big future ahead of her. And I thought maybe you guys could inspire her, help her, find her some work.
Great.
Whatever.
That's great.
So I'll let Ani talk to you.
That's great.
Mark.
Yes.
Kathleen was at IHOP, which is where I met you guys.
That's great. That's great. But she's not there now. So thank God. Thank God. That'd be a sad life. But the so and just a reminder to everyone, mute your microphone until it's your turn, because that way we don't get a lot of cross noise and stuff. Yes. So. And
how are you doing, though?
Okay, should we start with Kathleen? Why don't you check in for a moment about yourself, Kathleen? How are you doing?
What's up?
Well, I just got my second Emmy nomination.
Yay!
Thank you. I'm really grateful.
For what? What were you nominated for?
You know what? I did an Amazon Prime movie called A Mermaid for Christmas.
Wow.
And a couple of years ago, I did another web series called Winterthorn.
Wow.
So those are the two nominations that I got. But I've been working actually on General Hospital for 8 years, recurring.
Wow.
I was on Arrow for a couple seasons. You name it. I've been working. So I'm just really happy and to be working. Right now, it's of course I'm not working because of all this little situation. So I've been networking and trying to get back out there, looking for new work. I'm recurring on General Hospital, so when they call, I go running. When they don't call, I run in different directions.
Yes.
I did that Fear the Walking Dead Flight 462, the interstitial video things, and that was fun. So just a lot of stuff. I'm on IMDb. It's been busy, but it's so great to see you guys.
Yes.
I'm just really grateful to you. I remember I took a course like Flash
We
Forward.
remember.
Yeah. And I was telling Ani how you guys always say start at the top because she's networking and wants to get into stuff. I'm like, start at the top. So I thought you guys can explain that because it's such a great approach. I've always done that, and it's really helped a lot.
Great. Well, congratulations on all that's been going on in the last few decades. And
since we met at IHOP last time, that was the last meeting.
Is there anything you need right now? Is there anything we can do to be of help?
You know what? I'm grateful if I'm looking for on-camera work. So, I've recorded a bunch of audiobooks over the years. I have 5 earphone awards, whatever.
Great.
So I've done probably about 100 audiobooks.
Oh, cool.
So those, but mostly on camera.
Yes.
So in the right time, the right position, right role.
Yeah. Send us your current reel. Email it's markzickery@gmail.com. Send us a link. Okay. Because we're doing a lot. We're doing a lot.
And let everybody know in the section, in the chat section, how to look at your work.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I've been out of touch, but with Ani now, I'm like, oh, hi.
Yes, that's fine.
I want her to meet with you guys because I think this was a really good direction for her.
Great.
And her mom and I went to school together and grew up together. So this is a very special thing.
That's great. Well, it's good to see you, Kathleen. So 3 cheers.
Great.
So
happy to see you.
Thanks. So Ani, if you want to introduce yourself and talk about what you're up to, that'd be great.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
Of course.
I've graduated Manhattanville College. It was probably the longest spring break I've ever gotten. It was a whole thing. I majored in digital media with a minor in creative writing and another minor in gender studies. I had a lot of fun in the script writing classes. And I just really enjoy consuming a lot of media, a lot of fictional media. I just finished reading James Roberts' IDW run on Transformers, and
cool.
it was great. Binging a bunch of great. Netflix has a bunch of new content, so I just really enjoy the storytelling process and the mindsets behind those,
cool.
and the creation and the whole behind the scenes process.
Wow, neat.
And that's kind of what I'm poking around at.
So what's your ultimate objective? What if everything went terrifically well, what would that look like?
I don't know. Shooting for the moon. I think being able to make my own TV series would be great.
Swell. So
what behind the scenes writing?
So if it was your own TV series, what would it be? A drama? What would it be?
I like a character-based sci-fi, probably. Or
cool.
I'm also a big fan of urban fantasy.
Swell.
Like more grounded, low-key fantasy, not necessarily Lord of the Rings. I enjoy fictional narratives because I feel like they have a lot of potential to explore topics in a more in-depth way than nonfiction.
Cool.
Even if the topics they're dealing with are not fictional, like real issues. I do enjoy kind of leaning into dry humor, no matter what I write.
Sure. Cool.
But yeah, just some kind of fictional adventure series that's heavily focused on characters because they make the series.
Yes, of course. In television, particularly, the characters are the main thing. So first of all, there's a trilogy of novels that we did called Magic Time that you would probably enjoy a lot. It was published by HarperCollins, and all the machines in the world stop running and magic comes back. It was really fun, and we're going to be doing it as a TV series. Just to let you know.
That sounds really cool.
It is, yeah.
So, in terms of having your own series, do you envision yourself as the writer, director, producer, just writer, creator? What do you envision?
Possibly writer, producer.
Yeah.
I did some directing with my film club.
Cool.
I made a little 10-page little goofy script about finals. It's called Finals Fiends. Basically, 2 demons and an angel are just racing around trying to stop people from basically making pacts to get out of finals. And it's fun. It's just silliness.
That's fun.
I got very stressed with the directing aspect. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the editing or the writing.
Right.
So maybe more writer producer leaning it towards.
And what are your favorite shows?
I'm gonna say a lot of cartoons. She-Ra, Princesses of Power, is one of my favorites of all time.
Okay.
I really enjoyed Steven Universe.
Cool.
The Good Place absolutely blew me away. Umbrella Academy, despite its many flaws, I think is just the amount of absurdity it is. So I'm hyped that comes back tomorrow. No one's going to see me tomorrow.
Have you tried What We Do in the Shadows?
Oh yeah, actually I'm not a massive fan of that. I think it's because a lot of one of the types of humor I do not enjoy is when the punchline is just sex or something horny, or the punchline is just penis. It's not funny to me.
Gosh.
But my parents, especially my mom, love that show. So against my will, I have seen every episode.
Oh, Jesus. And in terms of science fiction, are the shows you've liked? I know I
feel like sci-fi in TV is kind of gets budgetary issues sometimes, but I really I've seen every Star Trek up to Deep Space Nine, and I've been keeping up to date with the Alone Together little companion thing that the actors have been doing. Carol and Tuesday. I don't know if that counts as sci-fi. Does that count as sci-fi?
I'm not familiar with
They're
that
on
one.
Mars.
Yeah.
So where are you located right now? Where are you?
Oh, I'm in Brooklyn, New York.
In New York.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Well, there's lots of people in New York who are. It's one of the easiest things to get started in addition to researching the kind of people who are putting on the kind of platforms that are handling your kind of work, is to try and get people together, even if it's on Zoom, and to start creating some of your own work. Start putting it together as a producer and a writer, and then put the word out to look at reels of directors and start your own stuff, because it's very hard to get through the door, but people are looking at stuff.
You can be very proactive. And I don't know if you know our credentials or what we've worked on in our careers, but everything from He-Man to Deep Space Nine to Next Gen, Star Trek: The Next Generation, et cetera, Sliders, and on and on. Smurfs. But our audience just gave us over $1.5 million to open our studio and make a new show, and so Armin Shimmerman's in it, and Gates McFadden's going to be in the new one, and Bob Picardo, and Mira Furlan, and Bill Mumy, and Doug Jones, and on and on and on.
Ooh, Doug Jones?
Yeah, I wrote a book with Guillermo del Toro, and I won the Saturn Award, and that led to me becoming friends with Doug, and Doug's now in Space Command. Yeah, but during the pandemic, we actually did a 2-hour episode of Space Command where the actors shot their own scenes in their own homes. So if you go on my YouTube channel, Mr. Sci-Fi,
they weren't their own scenes. We
wrote the scenes, but they shot them in their own homes. But if you go on Mr. Sci-Fi, which is our YouTube channel, you can see sort of what we've been up to. So do you have any specific questions or anything that would help you in a major way?
Not entirely. Since this was my first meeting, I didn't want to intrude. I didn't really know. But my main questions were I already know it's hard to get in the door, and I already know that right now everything's kind of on fire a little bit.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a ton of questions prepared because I wasn't entirely sure what the structure was. So I didn't want to.
Well, several things in that regard. Remember that everyone whose work you admire is stuck at home too. Okay, so they're reachable often through social media. Like, for instance, I don't know if my friend Mark Goffman is the showrunner on the Umbrella Academy this year, but he was the first year. And so again, for instance, so if you ever wanted to get a message to him, he's a pal of mine. So that'd be easy. Okay, so
I'll give him my kudos.
Yes,
the first season was great.
Good, I'm glad. But the point being, the trick is to be extremely proactive, and the two ways to do that are you make a list of 100 people who are doing the work you love in film and TV, writers, directors, producers, actors. Start reaching out to them. Additionally, you start creating work that you love, and and it doesn't have to be long necessarily. It just has to be good, and and then
if you look at what we did with the COVID episode, which is the ripple effect, where we had to do it. Except for 2 scenes that we shot previously,
with Michelle Nichols,
it was all under lockdown, and we were doing it by having people, photograph themselves with our scenes, and then we just put it together. So, something that separates the men from the boys is to actually have something that people look at. That's a lot of fun. That's interesting. That's personal. That's not like anything they've seen before, and especially since there's strong feelings abroad now of people wanting to get in touch with ideals, with deeper feeling, with connection. And so it's a very good time, given what it seems that you really like under the guise of, fiction, to address some topics with an edge of humor. That adds a lot.
Just make stuff.
And just make something like simple, but you can start out as simply as you like. Pull in a director. Make sure that you really like their stuff and that they understand what your objective is. But if you just create stuff, then people have a tool to help you.
Yeah.
So if you have something cool, then people can show it to other people.
Right. But but the cool part is that everyone has a camera now. Everyone's connected to the internet. I mean, it's a great way to make content and then disseminate it. That's a starting point. Any other questions?
None at the moment.
Okay. Well, welcome.
Yes. If I can just add to that,
please.
Is that Ani's also looking, maybe to get a job assisting somebody or, a writer, interning some way, so she can work, make some money, and also start working with someone and learn, because she's really young. We all started somewhere, working with someone and being mentored by somebody. So if there's someone you guys could possibly advise her or hire her or know someone.
It's a little tricky because of COVID, of course. That makes things more challenging. Oh, hang on. I'm sorry, what? Say that again, Kathleen. I'm sorry.
Through the internet. I mean, obviously online.
Yeah, I mean, that's something. David Bartlett sort of runs our physical studio, so David might have some ideas, and you could connect with him. Bonnie, he's this guy with the hair and the nose and the shirt.
But the thing is that what we suggested to some people here that's worked well is that since a lot of studio people their office is closed, if you just offer to be like a part-time assistant to 2 people, say, or three, so they don't have to pay that much, but it would get it. But if you say, I'll just do this many hours and 3 people, you can make it. That's a way. You can just say, I'll be your remote assistant.
Yes.
And they wouldn't have anybody with them probably, but they're used to assistants. So that's something you could do. Just look up the people you'd like to know, who you admire, not at the tippy top, but just one level below the tippy top, and say, I've just graduated, I've been doing this, and I admire this and this about your work, and I'd love to just assist, maybe split me between several other people, so it would be cost effective.
Now, also, when the pandemic is over, sometime in the 22nd century, there is television being produced in New York, and one of my friend Rockney O'Bannon is executive producer on a show on CBS called Evil, and that shoots out of New York, and or at least the writing staff is there, and he's there, and he created Farscape and Defiance and Alien Nation and Sequest, and we're creating a show together now, and so again. Next time I talk to them, I can see if they're looking for any kind of, writer's assistants or anything like that. And, you never know. You never know. I mean, I'll see where their heads are at around all of that. I know that the writing staff is working on season 2 right now. It's a big hit for CBS and, so forth. So anything else?
None that I can think of at the moment.
Okay,
great.
I definitely plan to binge watch your YouTube channel over the weekend. I just have had lots to do today, but I'm definitely catching up over the weekend.
Yes, you'll see a lot of fun stuff. Now, also, there's a table email list where you can sign on to that. David Bartlett, again, can tell you sort of the ins and outs of doing that. And then you can send, the table's been running for 27 years. Elaine and I started it. It has thousands of members all around the world, all sorts of offshoots. Normally we meet in person at a restaurant in LA, but of course we're not doing that now for obvious reasons. So, but welcome, and it's good to have you here, and we're happy to help in any way we can. So 3 cheers.
Thank you very much.
Yay.
Thank you for having me.
So David, do we have now we're also doing a live stream with Mr. Sci-Fi, my YouTube channel. So David, do we have any questions on Mr. Sci-Fi? Because we alternate between the table members taking a turn and me answering a question from the Mr. Sci-Fi fans.
These questions are piling up.
Yeah, okay, well, grab one.
Captain Bluebeard says,
okay,
we'd like to see a remake of Starship Earth.
Okay, good idea. That's more a comment than a question, but okay. So,
Wild Project.
Okay, is there a question?
There's another comment that's worthwhile.
No, okay.
Melinda's Sweden. She says she doesn't have questions, but she's a little starstruck.
Okay.
So, Far Beyond the Stars is my favorite Deep Space Nine stories.
Well, thanks. That's the one I came up with for those who don't know.
Right.
Cool.
So there you go.
Very cool.
We have a big Sliders fan here.
Great.
And someone that Captain Bluebeard wants to pick up Quantum Leap again. There's a lot of the interest out there for these shows.
Yeah.
Here's a question for Space Command. Will we see deeper background into synthetics?
Yes. And
yes, you definitely will.
And on Ripple Effect, which is the episode we just did, you see more insight into that. And also in the prequel, United Planet, which we just did as an audio play and as a graphic novel where we're combining them into an animatic, there's also more background on that stuff. So yeah, absolutely we are. And so
we love to layer and layer. So you'll see a lot of that, a lot of surprises.
Yes, exactly. So great. So let's see now, Irina, I know you're in New York, so why don't we take your turn?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you? Haven't seen you in a couple of months.
Yes. How's it going?
It's been an interesting couple of months. I had everything from getting confirmation that have a fracture in my lower back.
Oh God!
Becoming a U.S. Citizen. So
okay,
you can pick anything in between.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, but meanwhile, still working on my web series, putting out new episodes, and also a couple of weeks ago shot another pilot for another series.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So keeping busy.
Good. So is there anything you need? Any way we can be of help?
Well, what I'm thinking actually reaching out to your community and also just overall film community to see if there are any filmmakers who have made during the pandemic, or maybe before that, if they have any short films that they've shot in a bedroom. Because what I do with my web series, which is a bedtime stories, the whole idea, the concept is everything takes place in a bedroom, because I figured everyone has a bedroom. So it's ideal location. So now I'm kind of want to reach out to fellow filmmakers to see if anyone have shot films in their bedrooms, and basically to promote them on my YouTube channel as a bedtime stories challenge.
Yes, I think a lot of people have been shooting things. Yeah, I think a lot of people have been shooting things, and I think if you put out the word to the table, and also Stage 32 also has a lot of different groups and so forth, and again, I'm sure there's ways to get word out to their membership, which is a multitude of people. So so that would be fine. So that's one thing I would suggest.
But I'm sure you'll find people on the table on email.
Yeah. Yes. And so good. Anything else, Irina?
No, just want to congratulate. I did watch your convention live the whole day.
Wow.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And congratulations. Now you moving forward. And I don't know. I haven't heard from you in a couple of months. So are you back in action? Because I know in LA the numbers were climbing up again. I mean, what's going on?
We're planning on shooting in the studio. I mean, really ramping up production in late August, depending on the breaks. And so we're raising money now. I mean, we've raised a significant amount of money during the pandemic, which allowed us to do ripple effect and keep everyone on the payroll.
And David and some other of our crew are doing the COVID training, so they can become the guardians of rules.
Yeah,
so we do everything.
They basically push the tumbrel cart with the bodies.
Yes, they do.
So it's
Bring out your dead.
Yeah, I'm not dead yet. I'm feeling better.
Yeah.
So all that stuff. So Monty Python. But okay. So but yeah. So we will be. So you being in touch with David and kind of coordinating would probably be a good idea.
Yes. I know we didn't follow up on behind the scenes and everything, but I think that's still kind of a plan of action. Yeah. Because so much interesting material there.
Right, because primarily things now are being done, online and not, in person.
Well,
but that's going to change.
It's just opening up, and the rules are just formulating.
Yes.
But there are rules, and they are opening up, and it's pretty strict, but it's good.
Yeah. So, but more will be revealed. So, great. Anything else?
That's all good to go.
Yay. So, David, is there another question for Mr. Sci-Fi?
There is.
Okay.
Neil Webb says, what inspired you to have such a wide, long generations arc in the premise of Space Command?
All the time I was growing up, I never met my dad's father because he abandoned the family before my dad was born, and my dad only met his own father 3 times in his whole life. So that whole side, the Zickery side of my family, was a big mystery, where we came from, anything. And then when the Twilight Zone Companion came out, distant relatives saw my name on the book and had the family tree going back to the 17th century. And I found out that the Zickery family's from Morocco, and I found out that my grandfather had 2 vocations. He was a professional chef and a professional criminal, and things like that. So so the whole notion of a ripple effect from generation to generation was very interesting to me. The cause and effect, and the fact that you try to do your best, but often you do the right thing, but that could have a downside as well, a negative impact. So I was very interested in doing that. Part of it was also I wanted to do something that was different from what Star Trek had done or Star Wars had done. And, and although Star Wars kind of pokes a little bit about being multi-generational, it's not really very good at it. And also often in science fiction, you tend not to see the characters in sort of a real matrix where you get a sense of who their friends are, who their family are, who their spouses are, who their who their grandparents are. I mean, again, Star Trek: The Next Generation did that a little bit, but not a lot. And so I was just very interested in really digging into that side of things. And it's fun. It's very, very fun. So Space Command covers 180 years, and we jump back and forth between the generations. And I just that's sort of where it kind of grew. Also, it as the show grew in my mind, that aspect of it also grew significantly. Okay, so let's see. So I guess yeah. So Robbie Robinson, do you want to take your turn?
I won't be long. I'm a veteran stuntman. I know Jeff Markle. Jeff Markle and I used to work together at Universal.
Oh, wow.
And I worked on the Conan show for 6-7 years.
Cool.
And I've done most of my stunts that I have done have been a lot of action, a lot of fighting. But I did work on Alien Nation, the series.
Cool.
And I did an episode of Star Trek where I had to do a fight and go down some steps or whatever.
Wow.
But I've been around since '86 and worked with a lot of great directors. And of course, like a lot of you, I've worked at the studio. And while I was working as a stuntman, I was a probation officer in the gang unit. I worked in the streets.
Right.
So I did that for 35 years while I was working, doing stunts and doing that. And so I've been doing some writing. So if somebody has some stuff where there's fights and action, I can do it. And if I can't, I can turn people on to people that can do better than me. But I'm just an old veteran stuntman.
Cool.
The last thing I'll say is when I got into the business in '86, I learned how to do a lot of the stunt fighting, and guys who worked on the Wild Wild West taught me how to do fights for movies. So that's going way back. So, I just wanted to bring that up. But if you have something where you need some action, where there's physical confrontation, fights, falls, stuff like that, I have knowledge. I understand the camera, and all I have to do is hear is the concept, and I can just move with that.
Cool.
Right.
That's great. Well, it's good to see you.
Yeah. Do you have any broken bits from those days?
Broken bits? You mean?
Oh yeah. I've been knocked down, and I don't have any really broken bones, but I've been knocked down, knocked almost out. I've been, you do a take. I remember being over at Paramount, and I worked on Drops when I had a chance to double Wesley Snipes.
Wow.
Whoa.
I had a chance to double him doing some fighting, and I had to go out of a window into a big airbag. The wind was knocked out of me. I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I've had my scrapes where I was hurt, but I mean, just really tired and knocked down. But I never said anything. So I've been around. It's a tough man and tough woman sport. You know, so art. I mean, but it's a good thing to have. It's a good thing to know. I've worked with some really great directors. And it makes you feel good when they say, "Can you look through the camera and can you?" That makes you feel good.
Yeah,
so.
That's great. Well, congratulations.
Who are some of the directors you worked with? Who are some of the directors you worked with?
I remember working. I'm trying to think of his name. I know I worked on Fight Club.
Wow.
David Finch. I think that's who did it. That's who did it. I worked with him. I've worked with Mark Rydell. That's going way back.
Yeah.
And I've worked with John when I did Drop Zone. I can't remember, his name was Johnson, but I've worked with some really good guys. It's nice when the directors call you by name. On my resume, I can remember right now.
Yes. And is there anything you need, Robbie? Is there anything that we can be of use?
Well, yeah, I was introduced to the group by Stuart Smith, who introduced me to the group, and I'm just putting it out there. If you need someone with my expertise, I'm available.
Great.
I understand how to set things up, be efficient. So that's what it is.
Well, that's great. Well, it's great to see you. 3 cheers. Yay. So, David, do we have another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Indeed. Mark McCumin says, I'm working on a TV series that includes a robot race. Do you think that's been overdone or has issues that are problematic? Thanks, Mark.
You're always risking falling into cliche. I mean, science fiction has certain tropes, whether it's time travel or any of these things. And so the trick is always say, okay, what can I do that's different, or what can I do that has its own voice? And it isn't doing difference for its own sake, but it's finding something that makes it fresh. And so that's the trick of it, because many of the science fiction shows that don't work, or the science fiction novels that don't work, it's because there's nothing that distinguishes them from everything you've seen before. So that's the trick of it. And so there's nothing that's off limits per se. You just have to find the way to bring a fresh quality to it in some way, and that's why I like working with actors like Doug Jones, because again, you put Doug Jones and Robert Picardo together in a scene and you've got something magical, and then you just try not to screw it up. But so it's that's part of it. So let's see. So I guess, is it Carol Field? Yeah, Carol, I guess you're next on our screen, so go for it.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. Feels like you anchor me and inspire me each week.
Great.
Really, truly. I'm so grateful. So grateful. I had some skin stuff removed today, so if I look like an alien from Neptune,
you look fine.
That's the way it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay. All right. Okay. 36 commercials, 20 musicals in New York. My friend said I should express that more and not hide behind it.
Yes.
So I've done 30. Okay. I'm available for table reads. I would love to do that. Mr. Markle, if Megan is your cousin, I think her father has been to my house. Because, yes, isn't that interesting? The makeup lady to Married with Children sold me my house. And he was, I think, the sound man to Married with Children. She always had parties here. So I think he's been here. And
that would be Thomas Markle.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's kind of interesting. I just thought I'd tell you that, because I know I've seen you here before. So I'm sure he says hello. I'm sure he says hello to you.
I've never met him.
Wow. Well, there you go. Yeah.
I've never met the Duchess either.
No. There you go.
Well, maybe you will tomorrow.
Yeah.
How tall is Doug Jones?
He's 6'11" or something. He's tall. I don't know, 6'5", something like that.
He looks gigantic.
He's tallish.
He's very
but very
thin.
thin.
He's
yeah.
very thin, but he is very tall. If you see him standing next to Ethan McDowell, he's taller. Ethan is 6'3".
Yeah. But
so he's taller than 6'3".
But Doug is just a wonderful person. He has a great heart, and just thrilling to work with. So
it's good to hear, because he's such a good actor.
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone wishes
really
it. Everyone wishes him well. I mean, it's like there's certain people that are so sweet and so kind that when they succeed, everyone just goes 3 cheers. He's one of those guys, and they're pretty rare.
Nice.
They're pretty rare.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
So my complaint is that until I'm off it, that friggin' producer who liked me, or who knows what the hell he liked. And he said, sure, write a 1 hour animated pilot for your half-hour animated series. And everyone's telling me now, my people there are saying, no, that's not a good idea to show us a 1 hour pilot for a half-hour series. So I'm going to I'm going to redo it.
Yes.
But I know. But so I'm just venting now.
Right. Now, the one way you can get around that, if you want to, is that you could say, well, I've written episode 1 and episode 2. That's a way of doing it, but the main thing is that if it's a half-hour show, then the scripts should be half-hour scripts. If it's an hour show, it should be an hour script or a 2-hour backdoor pilot.
Okay. A friend of mine just went to Nickelodeon, and they liked what he had to say. And I said to him, did you show them a pilot script or what? He said, no, they absolutely did not want a pilot. They just wanted to break down the arc and everything, just to break down like the outline. And that's all. I said, well, and he said, they want to see me again. Okay. I said, are you going to write the pilot? He said, they definitely don't want to see it. I won't tell you what it's about, but I think it's inappropriate for 6 to 10-year-olds. I was shocked when he told me what it was about.
Huh.
Yeah. But
okay.
I know. Hopefully it gets produced and then you'll know. So I won't tell you what it is.
Okay.
But isn't that weird that they really didn't want to see anything written at all? They just wanted all the.
Well, now who was he meeting with? Because your voice broke up.
Nickelodeon. But I don't know who up there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it depends on what your credentials are. going in, because generally they hire you to write the pilot. You don't have to write it beforehand if you're very established. Like, so for instance, Rock Neil Bannon, my friend Rock, he'll go in and pitch pilots. He doesn't have to write them. He writes them once he gets the gig. Same is true with Joe Dougherty or any of these people. But it just depends on what your objective is. The trick is always, how do you gain credibility? How do you get on the map? And so it's that's part of it.
So is this his first? Is this?
He did some award-winning documentary on Mr. Rogers.
Well, sure, yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So yeah,
Cool.
and his manager was an agent at UTA.
All right.
So
yeah.
there's connections,
That's
right?
fine.
So I was just sort of surprised that they don't want anything like that from him.
Well, we'll see what happens. So what do you need?
So let me see if I have a little list.
Okay.
And nothing. That's all.
Yay! 3 cheers. So I guess is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Indeed. Hayes 494 says, "Hi Mark, do you think the ending of Beneath the Planet of the Apes in 1970 was too dark and depressing, where Charlton Heston activates the bomb and destroys the Earth? I saw the film recently."
Well, yeah, it's didn't stop him from making more films. It's like, so it's
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Yeah. All I remember is Victor Buono pulling off his human-looking face and revealing what was underneath. I don't know. It's an okay film.
Is it too dark?
Is it too dark? No. I mean, it's God knows. I mean, it's sort of like those Planet of the Apes films. I mean, the first Planet of the Apes movie has the greatest ending of any of them. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's great, and it was from the mind of Rod Serling, who wrote the original draft of that. By the way, if anyone's a fan of the original Planet of the Apes, Rod wrote the first script, which was set in a technological society, and they've just done his draft as a graphic novel, which I highly recommend. It's very, very interesting. It's well worth checking out. And so great, terrific. So let's see. So Dave, I guess you're next. Dave Edison.
Okay, hi there. Just working on something here on the other computer. Hit save. Hi. Yes, it's me, Dave Edison, through no fault of my own.
Yay.
I'm an editor. I'm the editor of Space Command and other things. We've been working on the current Kickstarter campaign, working on some little promo videos for that.
Yep.
And other than that, this is my last table meeting.
Oh no.
For this trip around the sun.
Okay.
Okay.
Then the next trip begins on Saturday, and and I get to answer the question, or I hope I get the answer to the question that Vera, Chuck, and I have been wondering about for 53 years. Will you stand by me? Will you untie me? That.
Yeah, got it.
So anyway, I'll see you. I'll see you on the next trip.
Yay!
Yay.
3 cheers, Dave. And again, Dave is our editor on Space Command, and he is just a jewel and a great joy to work with, and a thrill. So great. Do we have another Mr. Sci-Fi?
I'm a jewel?
Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
Oh, which one?
Well, one that cuts glass, of course, but and everything else. So, but go ahead, David. Is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
I have a Dave Edison related question, which is J. Alex Huddock is saying, where are the rest of the webisodes? He can't find them and needs a list. Is there a list of the webisodes?
Yeah, if you go on if you go on to any of them, there's a playlist of all of them on any of them. So, but if you want to watch all of the webisodes, just watch the first hour of the show, because that's what those webisodes were derived from. So they're not something in addition to the first hour. They're just were put together from the first hour. So,
but if they want the little tidbits along with your outro to each one,
yes,
that's the webisodes.
Well, there you go. So
for those who like the melodious tones,
yes. But if you just put in the search word webisode on Mr. Sci-Fi, you'll find all of them, I imagine. But this is a mystery. So okay, great. So I guess now we go to Mark O'Bannon. Go for it. I think you've gone mute. There we go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes.
How's it going, everybody? I just kind of came in to say hi and just to see what's going on. I'm writing my novels and
cool.
Working on getting a book cover shot for some of my novels. Looking for a model and photography studio. Sent a message out the table and got like 20 responses, and I'm still going through the responses.
How fun.
I'm still looking for a model. It takes a long time to find. I'm looking for a specific look.
Sure.
And also, I want to do all 6 book covers at once because the model I used for the cover could move to Morocco or something, or get hit by a bus, or you never know. I want the person to be the same, or they can cut their hair off or something.
Well,
so I want to do all the shots at once.
Can you do you want to describe what kind of model you're looking for, or?
Yeah, I'm looking for it's a fairy. So she's a petite brunette.
Okay.
Very small, very and brown hair, maybe brown eyes if I could get it. And I found one person I might use, but she's not perfect, but she's really good. And I've gone through hundreds of pictures, so hundreds of models. So I've spent all day yesterday looking through model pictures. What else is new? Working on another novel. I'm working on Whiskers, which is the cat dragon story, and I'm hoping to have that done by the end of the year.
Cool.
I just, in case someone who doesn't know about it, I put it up in the chat screen. I did a marketing seminar for the table, and I put it up on my YouTube channel. So there's a link if you go to the chat. If you haven't looked at it, check it out. It's about 90 minutes to class on marketing. So I do marketing stuff. And what else is new? That's pretty much it. I'm on the keto diet, so losing weight really quickly.
Great.
And but I live with a chef, so my cousin's a chef. So it's would you like some chocolate scones or cherry scones or blueberry scones, or how about some chocolate pie, or stop. So it's hard. It's building up my resistance.
I see.
So,
well.
Anyway, that's it.
Great. Well, congratulations! Yay! Now, you mentioned book covers. I thought I would show something kind of fun from my collection. I collect certain first editions, and this is a first edition of The Great Gatsby. If anyone has ever wanted to see one, it has one of the greatest book jackets of all time. Interestingly enough, this is the only jacket that was ever done, book jacket that was ever done as by the older brother of Xavier Cugat, who was a band leader. And so for those who've never seen that, this is the first edition of The Great Gatsby. Pretty cool. So it's a good book.
I love it.
Yeah, if you've never read it.
My first novel, I wrote after our panel in Comic-Con panel in 2007, I think it was. You and George, and I was sitting next to George Clinton Johnson and talking to him, and I got the idea for my first novel. And but because when you're around George, your mind expands, right? Even though I wasn't smoking pot, my mind was still expanded, right? So, but anyway, I got the idea for it, and I published that. That's a fairy book, a book of fairies fighting shadow people.
Fun.
So, anyway, that's just interesting.
Cool.
Because you were there, so when I got the idea for the novel, we were having dinner, I think.
Well, that's great. That's cool. He was a great guy. I love George. So, David, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Indeed. Ali Bull 93 from Norway.
Hi.
He says, Mr. Sci-Fi once said he would do a show and tell on his H.P. Lovecraft books.
Wow, that's interesting. Did I? Well, then I will someday do that. Yeah, I'll do that someday. It's interesting. One of Lovecraft's great pieces of writing is a novel called At the Mountains of Madness, and Guillermo del Toro tried really hard to get that made as a movie. It's his pet project, and it came very, very close and then didn't get made. But I was there when he was developing that project, and it would have been fun. It would have been great. So c'est la vie. But yeah, I'll do a Lovecraft thing sometime soon, and I'm also going to be doing a thing on John Wyndham, who's a British science fiction writer. Very interesting background. So okay, cool. So let's see. So I guess Jeffrey Markle. I guess you're next.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
How is everyone?
Good.
Good. I was just stopping in to say hello. I'm recovering from surgery.
Wow.
Oh dear.
And that's going very well. And I am very pleased to announce that I'm cancer-free.
Oh,
yay!
It's been a wild spring. But everything's going very well. I'm planning to play golf for the first time this Saturday.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm an actor, voiceover artist here in LA.
Cool.
Dave Edison said that you might be interested, Mark, that I worked with Ray Bradbury twice.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. The stage premiere of The Martian Chronicles.
Yes. Yes.
I was actually in the third. I got out of college and joined the colony and got put into the third cast of that.
Wow.
And Ray would come down and do Q&As after the Sunday matinee.
How fun. How fun.
And he often stopped in, before the show and talked to the camera. Just a great guy.
Wow. That's great. Well, I'll show you something interesting. Hold on 1 second. Hold the thought.
Sure.
This is something you may.
And Jeff, if you got something to continue to say about that, don't let Mark cut you off. He does that.
But here's the. I don't know if you recognize this, but this is this is the Mike Miner artwork that was used as part of that production. And in the 70s. And I was there as a teenager. I saw that play. It was great. So
they did 2 runs at the LA, and then they lost the space because other shows were coming in. So they moved the third cast back to the Studio Theater Playhouse.
Wow.
Which at that time was over by Dodger Stadium.
Yes. Wow.
Riverside. But then about a year later, I was very fortunate enough. We did the stage premiere of Fahrenheit 451.
Wow.
And I was in the original cast for that. So Ray came down for a lot of the rehearsals and was always open to questions and just was always open to chat when you had a few minutes. And then he did Q&As and a couple of special events during the run of that show too.
Wow. Wow, he was an amazing man. He was a very dear friend, and I'm actually writing a book called My Ray Bradbury about our friendship and some things he told me that I've never seen in print, and just stories from his life and how he built his career and all sorts of stuff. He was a one of a kind. He was a phenomenal man, and I'm so honored to have gotten to know him. So
I could just listen to him talk for it.
Yeah, it was great.
I always just raced out of my makeup so I could sneak to the back of the theater and watch the Q&As.
Yes,
because he had so many fans, and some people would just ask him, "Oh, what was this about?" But then there were a lot of people that really knew his work.
Yes.
Fascinating to listen to him speak.
That's great. Well, thanks for sharing that, Jeff. Is there anything you need right now?
A good golf game this Saturday.
Yes.
Even though, of course, my first day on the course is supposed to be 104 degrees.
Oh, God.
I'm debating whether I might put that off. But no, I've had a few auditions lately, so things are kind of firing back up.
Good.
Did you enjoy the earthquake?
The earthquake, last night there was an earthquake.
Yes, actually, it was funny. I rolled over at about 4 o'clock, and I thought, I'll get a couple more hours sleep.
Yes.
And next thing I knew, it was about 4:30.
Yeah. 4:29.
And then I just about got back to sleeping on the couch when the second one hit, and I figured, I'll just stay up.
That's great. Well,
but no damage or injuries. Everything shook. Everything shook at the same time. The first one, the first one seemed to rattle and then get bigger. The second one was just kind of a big bang.
Right. Yeah. And Dave, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, has I forgot the Showtime show that you have a spot in. Was that been aired?
Oh, yes. Black Monday aired on the 19th of July, and the episode has been nominated for several Emmys.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yay, that's great.
So this is a special Emmy edition of the table.
Yeah.
So between Kathleen and you, Jeff. So that's great. Congratulations. So that's wonderful.
Thank you.
One of my favorite Emmy stories is my friend Michael Reeves, who's a dear friend and a table member. He won an Emmy for story editing the animated Batman series. And when you win the Emmy, as those of you who've won it know, it doesn't have your name on it because they then send you the band, the engraved band that has your name, and you're supposed to unscrew the base, slide that band over the base, then screw it back together. Well, Michael stripped the gear, stripped the nuts when he was screwing it back, and so he had to actually go to the Academy and say, "I broke my Emmy," and he assumed they would repair it. Instead, they threw it away and just gave him another one. So really funny. So great. So anything else, Jeff?
No, just. glad to have my health, and
yes.
I'm glad that it seems like everybody's just doing what they got to do to get through all this craziness.
Yep, that's true. Well, good to see you, and congratulations on the surgery. Great.
Thank you.
Cheers.
How is Michael? Michael Reeves.
Oh, Michael. Yes. Sorry, I thought you were talking to Jeff. And I think he's okay, but I'm in touch with his wife, and I'll give an update as soon as I hear the latest. So thanks for asking, Dave. So David, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yeah, I got a couple little comments that are fun.
Oh.
One is that Gregory Krug would buy a Bradbury book by Mark in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would be in line for that one.
Mm-hmm.
He also, Odie Dillon feels that you need a Mr. Sci-Fi Paladin necklace.
That's fun. That's a fun idea.
That would be fun.
That's cool.
Great idea.
And this is a meteorite, just to let everyone know. That's an iron nickel meteorite. So eventually, I'm going to get a ring with a stone that's a meteorite from Mars, but that'll be a little while from now. So, but cool. And I noticed that Todd Chamberlain was asking about my books in the earthquake and all that. And this is something I've said before, but it's interesting because we do live in earthquake territory. When I have a book on my shelf that's kind of face out, I put it in a plastic bag, because then if it falls off the shelf, the spine doesn't break. Whereas if you don't have it in a bag, it will. And I learned that from the Northridge quake years ago.
But it did not hit us. We're not that near Pacoima.
Yes.
And so it was relative. It freaked out our terriers, but it was just a little window rattling. That's all we encountered.
Yeah. So great.
I do an actual sci-fi question.
Yes.
Everything freaks out your terriers.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
true.
That is scurrilous. So go ahead, David.
All right. Odie Dillon says,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Sci-Fi, are you seeing a lot of positive feedback on how you would handle generational storylines? Personally, I see your inroads and innovations in productions as a great thing.
Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it was really fun with Ripple Effect to be able to sort of cover what we're going to be covering in the entire first season, and sort of introducing characters and showing a little bit of a window into who they are. And that was just kind of like an unexpected and fun thing when the pandemic hit. But no, I like having a story that has a scope to it. And of course, we, having written for Babylon 5 and also designing Captain Power that way before Babylon 5, a big science fiction story is a lot of fun, and knowing where you're going is a lot of fun as well.
And Ripple Effect was fun because normally that's all subtext, and you almost never have a chance to write a character speaking their heart.
Well, yes.
And that was what Ripple Effect allowed us to do.
Yes. Well, you very rarely write monologues for episodic television just because it stops things dead. But in this case, we were able to do a lot of that.
Unless it's being delivered by someone like James Earl Jones. In which case.
He's great.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool. So let's see.
Was that, by the way, back to Jeffers, was that show that he was in, is that the painting we used for Ripple Effect?
Yes. We used Mike Miner's painting from Martian Chronicles in the background in one of the scenes in Ripple Effect in the new Space Command episode. I'm going to
just 2 quick shots.
Yeah, I'm going to reach out to Bob Burns and see if he knows what happened to that painting, because it's so pretty. And because just to let everyone know, Mike Miner was a designer on the original Star Trek, and he, for the stage production of Martian Chronicles, he did all these wonderful paintings of the Martians and the Martian terrain and so forth that were projected onto the stage, and they were also used as the posters and so forth. And he was just an incredibly talented young man who died way too young. So amazing guy. So okay, great. So Akira, you're up. Go for it.
All right. Okay.
Oh, Akira, are you? Oh, I think you have to turn your mic on.
Oh,
there you go. Yeah. It's off. There you go. You're on.
Right. I'm film composer and guitarist and Japanese guitar and Japanese music instructor. And I'm teaching. Mainly right now, I'm busy for the teaching Japanese. Like for example, how I'm teaching Japanese is like this. How do you describe this kind of by words? This is English. Like maybe you will say John, right? John, right?
I see.
How do you describe this kind of sound by your mouth? Then you need this. John. This is Japanese card. You know what I mean? this is what I'm doing, mainly what I'm now, And it's so fun to, to have a communicate with the remotely with so many students, not only the Los Angeles, and I'm talking with some people in Texas, Austin, or some other person in Boston, 3 hours ahead. Sometimes, we messed up, when we make the appointment. Okay, so let's meet at 7:00. But I was waiting, and just I'm in scheduling, 7:00 we are having the lesson, but they are calling me at 4:00, It's like that happened. But anyway, I'm also teaching guitar too, and also composing for the horror and suspense kind of stuff, and mostly indie short and feature film, and pretty much occupied. And right now, absolutely, quarantine, and I'm living with my landlord, and try not to share the spaces, as little as possible, and my food is there. I try not to go to the kitchen, as much as possible. Like water and apple and bread and coffee is there.
Great.
And try not to go to the kitchen.
Yes.
Things like that. And most of the time I'm spending time here, and that's all. And everything's fine, and I'm really enjoying to be here. And this is a great time. Once in a week I can talk to people like this.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
and much fun. So thank you very much. I really appreciate
Yay!
it.
Yay! That reminds me of the joke in Independence Day when Brent Spiner is part of that Area 51, and he says they don't let us out much. So but so another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David Bartlett.
First of all, Alexander Cologne says Space Command was a great watch.
Thanks.
We have a fan there. Willem Sauer says, Space Command question. Will Space Command introduce an H.P. Lovecraft element into Space Command?
Not exactly, but there are creepy creatures coming. So I will say that. And so it's not the Cthulhu mythos specifically, but if you're a fan of Lovecraft, I think you'll find things that are really fun in Space Command, because, a lot of people don't know that I was the story editor on Friday the 13th, the series. So I actually have a background writing horror, which I enjoyed. And, so that there's always going to be a little bit of that kind of twist. So, so cool. And David, I guess we skipped you. We didn't give you your turn. So do you want?
We usually do at the end.
Do you want your turn now or at the end, David?
At the end? What would you like?
At the end, okay, good.
Okay.
So Louis Shapiro, you're next. Go for it.
Okay, yeah. I just got a role today as a rather animated corpse.
Oh wow!
Short film, so
right.
Yeah, I've been auditioning and trying to do things, a little writing and all that. That's it.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Is there anything you need?
No.
Okay.
I just enjoy listening to you guys, talk about movie making and all that.
Yes, and in that regard, Elaine and I just started a new podcast we're doing called Greenlighting Yourself. And so we just released the first episode of it on Mr. Sci-Fi, where we interview Howard Cohen, who's head of Roadside Attractions, which is the movie and TV production company that did Dear White People and the Judy Garland biopic with Renee Zellweger, and just tons and tons of great films. And so if you want to hear how he gets movies made, you can just go and check it out. He's a really, really cool guy. So great. Yay. 3 cheers. Louis Shapiro, everybody. So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David?
Yes. This is an interesting one. It's Mark Lungo says, a question for Mark and Elaine. Are there any kinds of products you would not encourage because you find them morally objectionable?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you bet. Anything that has like victimization of women, we have a problem with. Anything that's overtly racist or homophobic. I mean, all the obvious stuff. It's just
anything that has to do with cruelty. Wait, did he say products or themes?
Projects. Yeah.
So no,
anything.
Mark was
nothing with terriers.
A while back when it had a certain slant, Mark was asked to write for G.I. Joe, And at that point, they were really upping
it was
enlistment.
very pro-militaristic, and I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, so he turned that one down.
Yeah.
So it's and we know some amazing people who are in the military, but the tone was really
anything that's gratuitously violent, anything that is cynical. Just for speaking for myself, I mean, I want to create stuff that makes the world a better place, not a worse place. And so there's that. But that's
stereotyping people, making them a laughing stock. Doesn't matter who.
Anything with cats in it.
Anything with cats,
So cool, yay. So now I guess on our screen the next person would be Maeve and Beta. Hi guys.
Hi.
Go for it.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Beta. I'm David Barnes' assistant.
Yes.
Someone who know me from a couple tables now. And I'm an actor and a dancer and a singer and a model. I do everything performing arts.
Cool.
And I studied acting at the New York Film Academy, did my bachelor's degree in September 2019 now. And I'm just out here working for Space Command right now and some little projects on the side. And
great. Cool.
Do you have a reel?
I do. I've been trying to get it on YouTube. There was difficulties, but I'll get it on there and I can send it to you.
Okay, great.
Okay, cool. That's great. That's great. And Maeve, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Hi, everyone. I'm Maeve Thompson Osgood. I am also an actor.
Yay.
We went to the same school, graduated really close to the same time.
Cool.
I'm also a writer. I do aerial dance. I sing a lot. I'm going to post a video later today, actually.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
I have reels. I have a website. Has all of my information on it. And I also do a lot of modeling. So.
Oh, cool. That's great. So, is there anything either of you need, or any questions either of you have?
Not for now. Not at the moment.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Great. Well, it's great to see both of you. 3 cheers. Yay.
If you like, you can post your website in the comments.
Yeah.
I'm in the chat.
Yes. Great. And also just a reminder to everyone to mute your mic unless it's your turn, just so we don't get a lot of cross noise.
But remember, especially for the actors, it's a very good time to research the kind of people you want to work with.
Yes.
Because there's such a lockdown. Like, who are the writers who write really good roles for women? Who are the directors? What production entities tend to really do good character work? So it's a good time. The one thing you don't want to do is sort of scattershot. But to be very specific, and now is a very good time to start researching where you're going to laser in when you can do that again.
Yes. So great. Now also, I heard a voice? Go ahead, David.
So Maeve is also selling herself a little short. She's extremely talented in the art department.
Oh, good.
Oh, great.
I happen to have here a picture of the 12 alien spaceship walls that Maeve has hand painted.
Oh, wow.
Many of them she and I put the foam on to begin with. You can't tell very well from this picture.
No, not
but they're
really.
pretty spectacular.
Great.
Swell. She's a big force in our department as well.
Well, thank you, Maeve. Thanks very much.
Terrific.
That's appreciated. So I wanted to do Cindy Bear because last time Cindy was here but didn't have a chance to have her turn. So Cindy, are you there? I see your name and Odd Brodsky, but I don't know if you're there actively right now or not. I guess not. So we'll go back to our regularly scheduled show. Marka Goshewitz?
Oh, so quickly.
Yes.
Hi, how are you doing? I just signed on. It's weird. I don't have to wait an hour. I hope everybody's doing okay. I've been incredibly busy, no sleep. The earthquake didn't help any. It literally scared my cat. And so don't make fun of cats. It really scared my cat to death. And we spent like 2 hours comforting the thing. It was really scary. Anyway, so I'm an editor. Working on a lot of my own stuff right now. It's all kind of moving slow because I'm asking people for deals, but it is moving forward. The next podcast episode's probably going to be coming out on Monday. At least we promised our guests that it would be out on Monday. It's been a tough edit because we recorded for 2.5 hours and we promised that it would only be an hour and a half. And so cutting it down has been kind of a bear, especially having to voiceover transitions to cut out sections has been kind of strange. Short films moving forward. I don't see Earl here tonight, but we're going to be having a big meeting on Monday about all the music.
Great.
And I don't know. I think that's about it. I just been really busy, getting very little sleep, and looking forward to that maybe sometime next week.
Okay, great. Anything else?
No, that's it. That's all the same news as every week. So
okay.
Well, and say we're sorry to your cat.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, oh my God, it was like I'd never seen anything like it. She would just, how they say animals can see. They can see, like they can sense things.
Yeah.
I was expecting a worse earthquake. She just staring into space like something was about to happen.
Huh. Wow.
I was freaked out. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Thank you.
3 cheers. So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David? Whoop, your mic is off. I can't hear you. There you go.
Hit the wrong button. Okay. Yes. O.D. Dillon says, are you planning shows that have holiday themes, such as Halloween or Christmas and so on? I've never heard that question.
Not at this point, but that doesn't mean we won't do it.
Probably not.
It's much more something we would do on Sweet Haven than on Space Command. Sweet Haven's the new show that we're doing with Rockne O'Bannon that has George Takei and Gates McFadden and Mira Furlan and Bill Mumy and Mike Harney, so on and so forth. So okay, cool. So let's see who's next. Jake, I guess it's you. Go for it.
Hi, Mark and Elaine. How are you?
Hi, good.
Hi, good. Good to see everybody. Yeah, I haven't seen you guys since the pandemic happened, so I know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been kind of a wild ride since then. Let's see. First week of March, I joined SAG-AFTRA after being eligible for like 7 years.
Cool.
So I'm really happy about that. And then like literally a week later, everything shut down. So I was like, oh, okay, great. So, but yeah, right now I'm just like, I'm looking for a new commercial agent, new manager. What was kind of cool was like, obviously in April, like a lot of industry professionals, like agents, managers, casting directors were doing a lot of Instagram lives and Q&As because they obviously had all this downtime. So like I was, thankfully able to like connect with like some really good commercial agents, managers. I think kind of the thing is like I feel like everybody's still kind of not sure what's going to happen next. So, I haven't really had just luck yet of like finding someone to sign with, but I'm hoping just to kind of keep at it and hopefully something will click.
Yes.
And then I got like a nice self-tape setup because, self-tape auditions are probably going to be the norm. So,
yeah.
But it's great. I've gotten some good compliments on that. I just use my iPhone. I have the iPhone 11, which has like a great camera. And I got like a ring light for like $80 or something as this camera, so, but, and then, yeah, I've been working on, I think I mentioned this the last time, I'm working on like a short novel. It's a horror novel.
Right.
Yeah. And so, I'm like, look, it's probably somewhere it'll end up around like 30,000, 50,000 words or something like that.
Sure.
So, it's about like a 12-year-old boy whose parents commit a murder. He helps them bury the body, and basically this dead man comes back to haunt him.
Oh yeah.
So,
well, I think we've all been there.
Right? Oh, totally. Well, I grew up with lots of secrets in my household, so it's somewhat semi-autobiographical in horror form.
Fun.
But also, but yeah, like I think maybe like a question is like, I have this idea of like, finishing it, working on it, and then trying to find a publisher and then like adapting it into a film.
Sure.
Or like, should I maybe just work on fleshing out the story and then just go ahead and write the screenplay for it? Or
well, I mean, yeah, I see. When it's not a pandemic, you should either go to the World Science Fiction Convention or the World Fantasy Convention or both, because that's where the book editors go. and the book agents and the book writers. And that's how the real way you sell a book. You meet them, they're very friendly, you hang out in the bar with them, and you talk about what you're working on, and they say, oh yeah, I'd like to take a look at that. That's really how it works. There's no downside to doing the screenplay as well, so that when let's say the book sells and someone comes sniffing saying, well, we'd like to do a movie, you can say, well, I've got the script, or or alternatively, if you have an agent who wants to run with it, then it's already there. It's a good idea to be very proactive
and to be prepared. It's very tough to turn for most books. It's tough to turn it into a screenplay. It's not an easy switch. So, but if you have it in your head,
and also, of course, with a story like that will work well in a graphic novel. That will work well in an audio play. That horror lends itself pretty readily to any number of different media. So yeah, I mean, but the good part about a book, starting with a book, is because a book costs very little to physically make. And you can even put it up on Amazon yourself via CreateSpace and all that stuff. So, but I would start thinking about who are the authors whose work you love, because all of them have websites. All of them, you can reach most of the major writers in books. And then, and also there's the most successful science fiction and fantasy / horror writing workshop is the Clarion Writers Workshop. Most of the major science fiction and fantasy writers of the last 40 years have come out of Clarion, and so that's worth checking out as well, and seeing. They may be doing an online component now because of COVID, but it's really a great workshop. I highly recommend it. I graduated from it in 1975 and sold my first short story through going there. It was terrific.
But I shouldn't say it's always hard to make a book into a movie, because I was stuck on a kind of a Greek island when I was looking for anything to read in the way back, and somebody had left behind a thing called The Exorcist.
Yes.
And I read The Exorcist. I would have read anything.
Yes.
I read it and I went, this was written to be a
movie. Yes, exactly. And and that's common with a lot of sort of best-selling fiction. But we've actually, in our careers, had the experience of taking a 2-hour script and turning it into a novel, as we did with Magic Time. And also I've had the experience of taking books and turning them into TV shows. I was hired to adapt Animorphs, create, basically lay out all the shows of the entire season and write several scripts that kind of set the template. So I've done adaptation in both directions, and but I think your instincts are good, and starting with the book and then doing the screenplay makes sense. Yes.
Wait, what was the convention that you said before?
There's two. It's the World Science Fiction Convention, which is being done online this year, and the World Fantasy Convention, which is, I'm sure, also being done online. WorldCon is usually around August, and World Fantasy Convention is usually October. And they take place in different cities each year, and all the major writers and agents and book editors in science fiction and fantasy and horror go to those. And the difference between Hollywood people and book people is that book people are doing books usually because they love books, including the book editors and the book agents. They love books, and so they're much more approachable. They're much friendlier. They don't have a chip on their shoulder, and the authors, even the very, very successful authors, tend to be extremely friendly, and you can really they like to help young people. They like to mentor people, and so I strongly believe in meeting people personally if you can. It really helps enormously. Hollywood is completely different. Hollywood people are awful and arrogant and have no manners at all and all of that. So
not all of us.
Not all of us. No. No. I mean, we have to create a better Hollywood, which is what the table stands for and what we stand for. But in the science fiction novelist world, you'll find it a very welcoming space. And I've been going to science fiction conventions since I was like 15 or 16. And I actually went to my World Science Fiction Banquet, my first one, when I was 12. My friend Fred Bronson took me, and the first writer I ever saw, because he was the keynote speaker at that banquet, was David Gerrold, who wrote The Trouble with Tribbles for Star Trek. Ironically, he and Elaine went to college together, and she read the first draft of that script when she was in college, so before it was shot. So that's pretty fun. So anything else you need, Jake?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, but oh my God, I love that first edition of The Great Gatsby. That's like one of my favorite books ever.
It's a great book. I'm reading a book by Maureen Corrigan, which is about the writing of Great Gatsby. I think it's called And So We Swim
Oh,
On.
is it So We Read On?
Yes. It's
no, I read that too.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's a shame that Fitzgerald didn't get the appreciation he deserved.
I know.
But that's the way it goes. So
James looks tired.
James Garnier.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll do James Garnier because Elaine says you look tired.
you do look tired. Where are you joining us from?
I'm back in LA. So I finished filming No More Goodbyes in the middle of COVID.
Great.
So that was a major feat.
Congrats.
SAG reported back that we were one of the very, very few who actually have managed to accomplish that feat, and had 0 incidences with COVID, despite us filming in a hot zone.
Wow!
So
that's great. Congratulations.
Yes. So that was great to not get infected and all that. I think all of our nasal cavities were a little fatigued after being tested every 4 days.
Wow. Yeah.
So we've been working with the guilds to convince them to use other testing that is equal or better, that does not require a scraping your brain through your nose. So,
yeah, great.
And so we're making a lot of progress there. And so we're working on pioneering not just the standards here in the U.S., but I'm also talking with Australian officials where we're going to be filming next year.
Great.
In February, March, and April for a tentpole film on there.
James, what advice would you give to people who are trying to shoot, possibly not on the scale that you are, but just to keep people safe and stay out of danger?
So we have a new protocol that we actually layered on top of the guild's guidelines, A Safe Way Forward, just because I have a 0 tolerance for incidences, because it's crippling to have a whole production shut down. So you're better off to spend the extra money to make sure you have really strict guidelines. So we're going to be sharing those with all of the guilds here next week on there. So more than happy to share that with table members. The other thing that we're working on is we've had relationships with labs. A lot of this goes back to also back when I was doing corporate overhauls and turnarounds. And we had to have partnership with labs and ERs and that when I was sending temp labor out to the oil fields. So on this, we're working on getting also the cost of these tests down dramatically, because right now the costs are crippling for independent productions, and the majority of productions will never be able to afford a safe way forward guidelines that are currently in place. So the idea is we're working to make sure that everybody can get back to work and not just the big budget stuff.
Cool. Great.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So is there anything you need at this point?
I need a day off.
Yeah.
I have been working around the clock.
Yes.
But it has all been a pleasure and extremely fruitful. I think I only lost my patients like twice.
Yes.
And that I won't say with who, but I'm just glad that I didn't get any repercussion from it. So
good. But I'm at the disposal. So if anybody has some questions on that, I did an interview with IndieWire, so that'll be coming out soon. Great.
That we lay out a lot of stuff in there, and I have some other interviews coming up as well.
Good.
But I'm open to the table if anybody has any questions and they want to get back to work right away.
Great.
And I think was it Jake earlier on there? I just want to back up Mark on saying absolutely do write books, do write scripts, write as much as you can on there. You never know when it's gonna, when it'll pop up, when you can utilize that.
Yes.
There's a story of Down and Out in Beverly Hills where the guy was working as a stereo salesman. And a guy that came in was a producer. I actually know the producer who actually bought that. And then he said, what else you got? And he had 3 more scripts in his trunk that were equally as good. So if you have that chest that you've built up, when that opportunity hits, you're ready, and your career will explode. For us, we built up 30 novels in the last 6 years. One of those we made in January, and so we've built up all of this, and so now we've got 100 plus projects in the pipeline.
Great.
Oh, great.
So
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
And of course, Mark is got great advice on the thing that he was talking about earlier about writing down the 100 people that you want to work with in the industry. And you admire in that. I can't emphasize enough. So, and of course, I love working with Mark. I got to disclose that. So
thank you. But also, I'll say one thing in that regard, James, which is you really, if there's something you aspire to, if you actually get the advice of someone who has succeeded in that thing, it helps so much, because most people are just guessing. They don't know what they're talking about, and But so in my career, I've sought out, as Rod Serling when I did the Twilight Zone Companion, and Ray Bradbury for all those years, and Guillermo del Toro, and so forth. Learning from them as to how they built their career, how they navigate, is invaluable. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to exactly mimic what they do or what they did, because, for instance, Ray rose to prominence when magazines were a much more viable mainstream market. He was selling the Saturday Evening Post and Collier's, and you could actually make a reputation as a writer of short stories. And then he jumped over to novels, of course. But just the way he went about things was so phenomenal and so impressive. And the same with Guillermo, of course. So yes. But specificity is what allows you to navigate. And again, when I say 100 people who are doing the work you most admire, think about it. Let's say you reached out to 100 of your favorite people to try and just get a conversation, to ask a whole bunch of questions. Even if only 3 of them say yes, you got 3 of the top people in your medium who you're in conversation with, and that alone is invaluable. So
I wanted to say that is so true. I remember the director that I worked with. I worked with John Badham 3 times. And when I doubled Wesley Snipes doing stunts for him, I got to work on a movie called Point of No Return and Nick of Time. And from what I heard from the stunt coordinator, I want the guy that doubled Wesley, because, he sat around and was listening to what I said. So it's so true. And I hung around great stuntmen and great directors, and I would look and watch.
Yes.
And I didn't say much, but I wanted to be around people who had done really good things, not only just stunts, but I got to see everything. So by just watching and looking,
that's great.
Being around those type of people, and even when I was a fighter, I wanted to be around guys that were really a lot better than me, and I would watch and learn. And then when I got in the ring and started sparring, I understood it. So I'm a great component of watching and listening and getting around people who know more than you do. And so now I am kind of like a senior statesman. I've been around. I know the camera. I've seen it. I understand it, And my coach told me something: don't say nothing unless they ask you. But if you want to move ahead, make yourself known to them.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Exactly.
That's what it was.
That's great. Well, thank you. Thanks a lot. So, James, is there anything else you need right now?
Nope, just more time.
Yes. Well, one thing I mentioned to many of my friends who are busy and active is that there's a website called Now Casting, and what you can do is you can go on that and find an actor who looks like you and just hire them to be you for a few days, and then you go off and take a vacation. So no one's going to know. No one will know. So so there you go. There you go. And sometime, not now, but sometime later, I'll tell you a story about someone who looked very much like me and what that led to. But okay, great. So David, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
There is.
Great.
We have, this is kind of a 2-part-ish one.
Okay.
A494 says, what's your favorite Michael Crichton book? He's my favorite author.
Cool.
His favorite is State of Fear. He'd love to see it made a film, but there is controversy because of his views on global warming.
Interesting. Well, I'm a fan of Michael Crichton. I don't love all of his things equally, of course. because I'm a dinosaur nut, Jurassic Park has to be my number one favorite. I loved Westworld. But interestingly enough, something I'm about to put on Mr. Sci-Fi is some years ago, I'm a huge fan of underwater science fiction adventures. I love The Abyss, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, all that stuff. So some years ago, Michael Crichton wrote an underwater science fiction novel called Sphere. And it was made into a very mediocre film, but the novel's really fun. And so it wasn't available on audio, unabridged, when I wanted to be able to listen to it. So I actually read the entire novel into a recorder. And so I'm going to be talking to Dave soon to convert those cassettes into a digital file so that we can post my reading of that novel on Mr. Sci-Fi, just as a little fun treat.
I came staggering out of the bedroom. It was very late. and he was recording it.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, wait, don't go back to bed. I need to hear which sounds better. And he lifted a
toilet roll
to his lips.
Tube. Yeah.
And he
I was doing a computer voice.
He was doing a computer voice.
Yeah.
So he did it through a toilet paper tube, and then
a paper towel tube.
A paper towel tube, and he said, "Which is better? Which is better?" And I'm looking at him, and I'm hardly awake.
Yeah.
But he was a perfectionist even then.
Yes, but she did answer me ultimately,
yes.
which is of course the definition of true love.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so you all have something very much fun to look forward to,
Yes,
and it was really fun reading that book aloud and so forth. So great. So let's see. I guess
David.
Which what?
Who?
Who is it now? Robert? Did you? I don't think you've had your turn yet, right? Robert Orzola, go for it.
Hi everyone, I'm Robert. I'm a composer for films, TV, games, and now trailers. I'm currently the in-house composer for Monster LA, which is a growing trailer company here in LA. The most recent placement I guess I have, the most recent accolade is the last Old Guard trailer that came out.
Cool.
I have a number of sound effects that are in there. And I've got a few more placements with them, and we're still cranking away. Right now, I'm just hoping to meet new people here, see if anyone might need music or some sound design or even audio editing, because I do all of that with this trailer company. I even do some other random tasks I'm still learning. Even some graphic design, though don't ask me to do that.
Great.
Still rough.
Okay. So,
but yeah, excited to meet anyone.
So is there anything you need, Robert?
Not right now. I'm just looking to see if anyone might need me on board for something, or might have some questions for anything music related or trailer related even, because now that I'm there, I get to see behind the scenes how it's done and what goes on over there.
Yes.
Do you have a site?
Oh, yes, I do. I'll put it in
the chat.
In the comments,
Great.
Lovely.
Terrific. And of course, for those who don't know, the table has an email component where you can send one email out to all several thousand members, and David Bartlett can sort of be a conduit to the right people if anyone wants to sign up for that.
What's your favorite kind of thing to work on?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I love dramas.
Yeah. Dramas are good.
Dramas, and sci-fi as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are two of my favorites, especially for trailer music and film.
Cool.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Great.
That's great. Well, good to see you. 3 cheers. Yay. So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David Bartlett?
So Scott Gamble says he was defending Space Command synthetics to a Picard fan who was pointing out that the show's synthetics are similarities of the two.
Yeah.
Could you speak a moment to the naysayers?
Well, here's the thing I'll say. First of all, Space Command came first. So we have dibs. It's just that our post-production process takes a long time because of our budgetary challenges. But you know, I'm never in competition with anyone else's work in that way. If there's a story that I want to tell, I just tell it, because I grew up in science fiction, and in science fiction, every writer at that time when I was growing up would write their time travel story, their alien first contact story, their, you name it. There's all the tropes of science fiction, and all of them, Ray Bradbury, Arthur C. Clarke, Heinlein, everyone would be writing those same tropes, but they'd be bringing their own spin to it. So their robot story, whatever, you know. And so, so I never worry about that stuff. It's sort of like, do I have a story to tell, and is it resonant and truthful from my point of view? And because the things that interest me are different from what interests most of the other showrunners. I mean, I'm very interested in issues of compassion, empathy, creating a larger world by reaching out to others, who are not like us, in a facade way, but who we ultimately see that we're all of the same heart. Those are very interesting, and issues of responsibility. Those are all very important to me.
And we were looking for a class of people who could be labeled other.
Yes.
And therefore
Anything
unjustly as lesser.
Right.
And who would be considered other and lesser, so they could be used entirely as a workforce, and people blinding themselves to who and what they really were.
Yeah.
And it seemed that this was a very good template. So it was less about it being robots or
synthetics.
It was more, but because they weren't machines, they were just treated like machines. And so we thought that, especially at this point in time, that it was we wanted that kind of template.
Yeah, stuff like that. So and to have Doug Jones play that role was just terrific and huge fun. So let's see. I guess Tad Israel. I guess Tad, you're up. So go for it. Take your turn. Yeah, unmute. Okay. Can you unmute the mic?
Oh, Tad, can you unmute?
I guess he's having some there. Oh, wait. No, it's not doing.
There
There you go.
Okay,
go for it. Oh, we still can't hear you.
Oh, dear.
Is your mic on? No, we can't hear you. Huh. Oh well. Okay. Well, if you have a question, you can send it via text, and we can
we're not
address
hearing
it.
you somehow.
Okay, great. Well,
Okay.
but it's good to see you. So Judith Smiley, are you there, or are you
Judith?
up there? There's a dark form. There's a dark entity, a presence. I sense it. Go ahead, Judith.
We see the top of your head.
There's
Judith.
Is that one of our dogs?
There
Or is
I
that
am.
there you
There
go?
I am. I just finished a 4-hour workshop
Yes.
with a casting director
Yes.
for
Was it on lighting?
animation.
Ah, good.
From New York through my agent. So I'm
great.
And of course, we had a little wake-up call this morning.
Yes.
How's everybody doing?
Fine.
I got thrown out of bed.
Wow.
I lost all this weight, and then I get thrown out of bed. I had a busy week. First of all, the best news. I went to the doctor yesterday, who is Angela Jolie's doctor.
Great.
And once again, I am clean.
Yay.
So that's, thank you, God.
Good.
I have had a great week, terrific week. I had a lovely meeting with Mr. David Bartlett, who helped me tremendously, and my little pet, and made me see some things that I hadn't quite seen before, so I'm going to rewrite. I'm also thinking of doing it as a book. I'd always thought of that, but then I got sick right after I wrote it. And I was reminded of the two. I originally started as a trilogy, so I made some notes myself, and I have a list of all my other projects. And I finished up my commercial demo this morning. Sent it to my agent. It went out to the casting director, and he likes it. I'm going to do my animation demo. And I want to do my demo within 3 weeks. The great thing is that after 8 weeks of telling Elaine, after 8 months, after 8 years of not being able to do anything between cancer and surgery and pneumonia and falling and bed bugs, I'm finally busy. I love it. It's finally happening. So I'm very grateful to everybody. And we're moving on. This week is all about putting my head down. The pandemic, where am I going to go? It's a shame. I have so many nice clothes. So I'm just going to put my head down and finish Apocalyptic and groove on some of my other projects.
Great. Cool. Well, 3 cheers. Yay. Great.
And James, I'm going to call you if it's okay when you're rested.
Yes, when you're resting.
I owe you a hug.
Yeah, yay. Yeah, virtual hug. So great. So David, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
It's a technical question.
Sure.
Oki Dillon says, Mr. Sci-Fi, how do you prefer to get reels and what length? Do you prefer video lengths or the file itself and what?
I'm going to go eat.
So, well, and Judith,
You
remember
got to mute your little button there, darling.
Remember to mute your mic. There you go. In terms of actors reels, you mean just like a link?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, link is fine.
I realize I can mute and unmute people too from my end. So if you need that, let me know.
Yeah, it's a link. You just send a link and I can watch it. And a reel should only be like a couple minutes. It should be pretty short, 'cause for obvious reasons. So that's
You're no longer accepting VHS?
Oh, God knows. Yeah, Dave, at some point, I actually have black and white, reel-to-reel videotape from when I was in college, and you and I should really see what might be done with that.
Well, you're gonna have to find the exact machine that plays that.
I know it. It was a monster, and it wasn't even well calibrated. The ones they had at UCLA were really beasts. But it would be so interesting to see that stuff after all these years. But yep. So okay, let's see. I guess Earl.
I mean, that just on that subject, that's the one thing about film.
Yes.
It's even
stable.
if you had to zoom in and shoot each frame independently.
Yes.
It's still there.
Yes.
Electronic stuff.
I know.
Don't have the player.
I know. I get it. Absolutely. I agree. So Earl, you're up. Go for it.
Hello, Earl F. Smith, multi-award-winning composer, sound designer, sound editor. I've had a great week. I don't know what it is, but I put out that cover, Bridge Over Troubled Water, and I'm getting a bunch of calls for all these new music students.
Wow. Great.
I'm a spoiled brat right now. I've been working on Mark's film.
Cool.
And, we're going to meet on Monday, and I'm going to find out his emotion per scene. And then from there, the next week, I'll lock in and send him my first draft.
Wow,
so that's it for me.
Okay.
Moving around along.
Yeah, I've been busy. I've been real busy. But blessed.
Okay. Well, 3 chairs.
Yay.
Yay.
So another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David?
Vince Glazer, who does our visual effects, one of them, he's an excellent guy, a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
He has a question.
Okay, great.
A great question. He says, when writing dialogue for characters to make them sound more natural,
yes,
do you envision the scene play out in your mind as they talk to see how they would react, or is there more to it?
What I do, and in fact, I may even have a visual aid here if I can find it. I tend to cast every role specifically. So, for instance, for Sweet Haven, which is the new show where The Rock, Neil Bannon, and Elaine and I are doing, if you look at this, these are the characters: Mike Harney, Gates McFadden, George Takei, Barbara Bain, Don Balderramos, and Eva Marie Saint. So I can put that right over there too. So when Elaine's gonna go and do something relating to the dogs, but so I'll cast it, and then I'll put this in front of my computer screen, and so when I'm writing a scene, I'll envision it in my head, but I'll look at that character as they're speaking, and I'll hear them in my head. So I make it a specific character, and I try and have characters who speak very different from each other, and that helps a lot too. And so that's a big part of it. So that's what I'll say about that. It's a good idea in general to keep a list of actors who are very distinctive in your head, and people in your life who are very distinctive in your head. And specifically, if they talk differently from each other, that can help a lot. People who are like talkative versus people who aren't, and so forth. So, for instance, even tonight, you could see that Judith Smiley has a way of talking. Dave Edison, I have a way of talking that's very specific, etc. And so just gathering, gathering those kind of variations helps bring a scene alive. So great. So I guess it's your turn, David, if you want to take your turn. Mm-hmm. Would you like your turn, David? Go for it.
Me? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm David Bartlett. I am sitting in for Adam Sartain tonight. I'm not Adam Sartain. I am a filmmaker, a teacher, and a human rights activist, and a co-producer of Space Command.
Yay!
I'm also the producer of Ripple Effect, the producer of the visual effects, the crowdfunding fulfillment. I do the color correction.
Yeah.
I'm building a studio.
Yes.
As you saw earlier, the pictures of the sets.
Dog model.
With, wonderful Maeve.
Yeah.
Who, of other things, is a very lovely, intelligent model who spins from the silk ribbons from the ceiling and paints sets.
Cool.
So there's a multifaceted person right there.
There you go.
Beta works with me. I have a staff of volunteers and of some certain paid employees of a low rate, I might add.
Cool.
But we are very COVID safe. We bring people in with masks and the whole thing. They paint, they saw things, they file things, they mail things, they ship things. We've got people in different countries shipping things. We've got things going on in different cities. It's really it's a lively bunch here at Space Command, frankly.
Yes.
And on top of that, I'm also moonlighting a little bit, helping out James with some visual effects on one of his projects. So I've been a busy boy, to say the least. And, it's great because the studio is about maybe 90% there to being able to actually shoot sync sound in a soundproof environment, relatively, with a green screen.
Great.
And the sets that we need for this film. We're almost ready to be completely in production. I have to get some drapes up for the sound, and I have to get a power tap for 200 amps in the studio. And after that, we're completely set to shoot pretty much anything in a relatively sort of medium-sized studio environment.
Great.
So I'm very excited about that. And we're going to launch into 8 weekends of shooting. We've got a new way of doing the COVID.
Cool.
Which is we're going to shoot very small scenes that have 1 or 2 characters in them, or 3. And they're in 1 or 2 sets, and we're building all the sets in the studio during the week, doing the prep on Saturday, and then shooting the scene out on Sunday, and repeating that, rinse and repeat for 8 or 9 weeks. And it's actually a really good way to fill this out until we get the code into full production and a bigger budget in place to shoot about 45 pages of the alien spaceship interior that Elaine's nicknamed the Haunted House. It's a very involved sequence with creatures that are 8 feet high, 2 of them, and stunts and visual effects all over the place, and a cast weapon. It's filled with everything you ever imagined.
Great.
Smoke, fog, and spaceships, and the whole thing. It's the full Monty. So that's what I'm up to.
Great.
My background is I made my first film when I was 10 years old. I started making films in high school, and I was worked in the movie theater that played Star Trek: The Motion Picture. And then 10 years later, after I moved to Hollywood and worked there for a while, I got to work with Robert Wise, the director, and get advice from him directly, and that was very cool. I was there in LA in 1980. I moved there. I started working building sets with Roger Corman's studio with production designer Jim Cameron. Time he was Jim, and he's graduated. He was engaged to a young woman, very nice, very smart woman named Gail Ann Hurd, and she went on to be quite a famous, amazing producer. And I learned from the 2 of them at a young age, and many other mentors I've had throughout time. I worked on then in post-production sound on Pulp Fiction and Speed and Total Recall and a bunch of big movies like that. Then I got out of that and started doing more of my own independent films. Now I've got 64 Film Festival Awards for independent films.
Cool.
So I've done pretty much everything there is in films. I've never cut anyone's hair. As you can see, I don't even cut my own hair. I have very coated hair right now. And I shouldn't be the guy that plugs in the cables to the generator either. The juicer. That should not be me. I'll pull something up. But otherwise, I've got it covered.
Cool.
So just moving forward with other productions, and the Space Command is going great guns, and that's kind of the gamut.
Okay. Yay. 3 cheers. So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David?
Sure. Let me see here. We've got a couple of odd and fan questions. I found your Magic Time series to be very visual read.
Thanks.
Cannot thank you enough for the entertainment and thrills in it. I looked at the wrong monitor to see you. That's funny. We also have Mark and Elaine. Elaine's not there. We can ask her in a second. Let's see. Once again, the Space Command has elements spinned off from H.P. Lovecraft's excellent books. Now, Lovecraft keeps coming up tonight, but are there elements that have spun off from the books or inspired from the books?
It's certainly in Magic Time. And also for those, as we mentioned earlier, Magic Time started as a pilot, a 2-hour spec pilot Elaine and I wrote that was optioned 8 times by Henson and Davis Entertainment and many other companies. Then I sold as a trilogy of novels to HarperCollins. I co-wrote the first book with Barbara Hambly. Maya Bonhoff wrote the second book. We plotted it together, and then I wrote the third book. And I'm the fourth one is in progress, but I won't do that until after we do the series. But I wrote roles for Armin Shimmerman and Christina Moses, who now stars in A Million Little Things. And so we actually did an audio play of the entire pilot that you can find on Audible and or Amazon. I mean, it's released by Skyboat Media and Blackstone Audio, and it was very, very fun to do. And so I highly recommend that. And but H.P. Lovecraft, of course, is an inspiration because he's so. I mean, there's such power to what he came up with. I mean, phenomenal. He's extremely variable. He, at his worst, he reads like a bad imitation of Lovecraft, and at his best, he reads like the greatest 19th century writer who ever wrote in the 20th century. But he's got a very, very ornate style that really seems like it belongs back in the time of Poe. But his stuff is great. Oh, I see Gino's here. Do you want to take your turn?
Also, Mark, I forgot. I didn't do the Howard part of this.
Yes.
So those of you that are interested in the table email, Oh, also, those of you that are interested in working on Space Command, whether in a paid position or a volunteer position, you can email me and I can get you hooked up with that, even if you're long distance.
Great.
We have people all over doing things in different capacities. There are lots of electronic methods.
Yeah.
I have another assistant who's living in the Dominican Republic. We have someone shipping from UK. We have people in New York and Canada. So don't think that because you're not here, you can't pitch in.
Yes.
Now, the hard part of this, Howard Benjamin usually handles the table email. So I'm doing the table email too, because I'm apparently the head of everything. So the table email involves sending me an email so that I can forward it to Tom Katzis, who handles that, and we will get you assigned to it. I have to tell you how to use the table email. There's a very specific thing. But before you do that, you need to make an email with your full name in it. Like you can't have, a cutie pie 27. That's not going to work. So your full name, first and last, with a number or whatever if you want, and whatever email service that you have. So create that for yourself, and then Gmail is usually the best. And then send me that with your request, and I can get you set up for a table email.
Yes, and what's your email address, David?
DaveFilms@hotmail.com. DaveFilms @hotmail.com.
Great.
I put it on the chat too. If you check
Terrific.
the chat, I put it on the general chat so you can see it there.
Great, terrific. Thank you, David. So, Dave Edison.
Yeah, for Lovecraft fans, I want to recommend a friend of mine who now lives over in England has a Lovecraft podcast that he does. You can check out his YouTube page. Actually, this isn't his name, but it's a person he works with, Greig, or Greig Johnson. They've done a little film of Pickman's Guest, and they have some radio plays called Quiet and Bold that are in the Lovecraft vein. So, so check out Chris and
cool.
and his the H.P. Lovecraft Literary Podcast.
Yes,
it's the name of his podcast.
And I don't know if I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you, Dave, but I actually had the honor of they did a roast for Harlan Ellison some years ago, and Robert Bloch was one of the speakers, and they asked me to pick him up and drive him, and he actually had corresponded with Lovecraft, and so I asked him what Lovecraft was like, and that was really a great conversation. And for those of you who don't know, Robert Bloch wrote the novel Psycho that Hitchcock then made into the movie of the same name. So And
in a nutty nutshell, what was his response?
You mean, what did he say about Lovecraft? He just said he was an amazing man. He was unique. There was no one like him. I mean, and he also falls into the category.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, he falls into the category of those. There's certain writers who look exactly like they should for what they write, and he was one of those. Mark Twain is another. But it's funny because some writers just don't look like they match. F. Scott Fitzgerald, of course, looked perfect for what he was writing, as well. And but it's funny to just sort of see which writers are are that and which are very much not that. So great. So Gino, I guess it's your turn. Okay.
That was fast.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow. Okay. Hi, Gino, actor, filmmaker, comedian. For those of you who I don't know, I'm available for table reads. And also, if I fit the specs of anything you might be casting, I'd be honored to read for you. And that's all I got. I was just coming to chime in and connect and
good.
Build the love and energy as usual, man.
Great.
Thanks,
Well,
Mark.
it's good to see you. Yay.
Likewise.
So another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David?
Let me just chime in, not to monopolize, but another YouTube channel that has those H.P. Lovecraft podcasts. Witch House Media, like Wicked Witch.
Yes.
Witch House Media is their channel.
Yes, and also if you're on the subject of Lovecraft, Dave, we should also mention the Joe Dougherty TV movie that he did with what it was called. What was the title of that? And he did.
Well, the original title he wrote it under was Lovecraft.
Right.
Was the character's name? The detective's name was Lovecraft. But it was done by HBO as Cast a Deadly Spell.
Yes, it's great fun.
And
it's a mashup of
it's a great little film. No CGI back in those days, early '90s. But the sequel, which wasn't quite as good, I think, was called Witch Hunt.
Yes, and that wasn't as good. It didn't have as good a
It
cast.
was Fred Ward in the first one.
Yes, he
and,
was great. And it was Dennis Hopper in the second.
Dennis Hopper, yes, that's right.
Yeah, very different. So, okay, great. So was there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David?
Yeah, we got some lined up here. So here's one from Robbie Riley, Esquire.
Hi, Robbie.
Bill from Tokyo. What's your favorite Harlan Ellison story on the big or small screen?
City on the Edge of Forever is my favorite, of course. It's just it really changed my life in a huge way. I love his two Outer Limits episodes, Soldier and Demon with a Glass Hand. Yeah, Boy and His Dog has its charms. Harlan was an amazing man to know, and that's my portrait of him behind me on the wall. And he was a temperamental guy, but a really brilliant and singular person. So I'm really glad I got to know him. And okay, so great. So now I guess it's me, wonderful me. I think we've done everyone else, and then Elaine will be back. She's walking the dogs, and we'll see if she gets here before we bring the curtain down. But so what's going on with us is working on Space Command, and we have a Kickstarter campaign going now. So if anyone wants to throw in some money or spread the word, that would be great. You can see the link to it on Mr. Sci-Fi. We're also selling investment shares in Space Command. So anything that spreads the word is hugely helpful. James, we were talking earlier this morning, Elaine and I, because we did this 2-hour episode of Space Command that was entirely done during the pandemic, but we don't have anyone to do publicity effectively. And so as a result, we know about it, but pretty much very few people other than us know about it. So any help in public relations or any of that stuff would be great. Interestingly enough, my press contacts are actually very good, but I'm just don't have the time to do everything I need to do because I'm spinning so many plates. And I managed to piss off SEFWA, which was interesting, the Science Fiction Writers of America, because we sent a notice about Space Command out to all the members individually. And the funny thing was, the guy who contacted me and said, "Hey, you caused some problems here." I thought he was on the board, and he wasn't. He was just like an individual writer who apparently is a crank. So, but I still posted an apology, and that's fine. I don't mind apologizing. But c'est la vie. I mean, they'll enjoy Space Command. It's a show that everyone loves. So, but we're making Space Command. I'm writing the new book, Greenlighting Yourself, which I've already sold, so I've got to write it. And we started the Greenlighting Yourself podcast, and got to just raise the money so we can roll camera at the end of August on Space Command and keep going and keep everything moving forward. But I'm really glad that we've released the first 4 episodes of Space Command so far, the audio prequel, the first episode, the pilot, and Ripple Effect, 2 hours of that. And meantime, because I have so much spare time on my hands, I'm creating 6 other shows for the Showrunners Network. So we finished writing the first one, Sweet Haven, and it's interesting because Rockne O'Bannon, who's executive producer on Evil on CBS and created Farscape and Alien Nation and Defiance and Sequest. He's an old time. Oh, I've known him forever since we both worked on the new Twilight Zone. He and I came up with this idea before the pandemic. And the basic idea is that a genetically altered disease gets out of hand and kills everyone in the world under 60. So the people 60 and above have to figure out how to save humanity when they can't reproduce. And so we finished the script. We're going to do a table read with our actors. It's Nana Visitor from DS9 and Gates McFadden from Star Trek The Next Generation, Michael Harney from Orange is the New Black, George Takei, Mira Furlan from Babylon 5, got on and on. Barbara Bain from Mission Impossible and Space 1999. We're reaching out to Eva Marie Saint, so we've got to do that quickly and soon. So David, you and I need to talk about that because when you're dealing with a cast of senior citizens, you want to move quickly, for obvious reasons. And but the table read will be in the next couple of weeks, and then we're gonna shoot it. I mean, the whole idea is to shoot 6 pilots, take them out as a slate of 6 shows, and sell them to a streaming service. So, but with the Showrunners Network, on each project, I team with a major A-list showrunner. So one of the other projects I'm doing is with Mark Ferguson, his partner, who created and run The Expanse. They also wrote Children of Men and Iron Man and so forth. So it's going to be it's a very, very fun project. So so that's sort of the main stuff, with the
Did you mention your Greenlighting Yourself podcast?
Yeah, I mentioned the podcast. Yeah, and we're going to do that and interview all these big movie and TV people, but mainly we want to get Elaine's movies made as well as our TV projects, and so it's just finding a way to get to people. Elaine's reaching out to Mark Ruffalo for one of her films, and we'll see what happens. We just watched 6 hours of him playing twins on HBO, which was depressing but still good. I mean, he's a terrific actor, but Jesus. And let's see what else is going on.
I've got other questions here if you want to run by it till Elaine comes back.
We could answer one or two more questions, but just to finish, one thing is one of the fun things we're doing is, before I was a writer professionally, I was an artist. As a teenager, I had gallery shows and all of that, and so we're actually doing an Art of Mark Zicree book as a perk on the Kickstarter campaign. So I'm pulling together all this artwork, sculptures, paintings, drawings, photography work that I did from when I was 5 till when I was about 22. And I stopped doing artwork to get good at writing, but actually I got a fair amount of notice as an artist. And so so that'll be fun to pull that all together and do a little video about it and put it together in book form. So I've been pulling all that stuff together and finding stuff that I didn't even remember I'd done. So, you know, including my drawing of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, so cool. So yeah, give me another question for Mr. Sci-Fi, David.
So first of all, there's a positive comment about the commentary you did on H.G. Wells' Things to Come.
That was really fun. Things to Come is one of my favorite movies. It was written by H.G. Wells and came out in 1936, and it's a public domain, so we were able to put it on Mr. Sci-Fi, show the entire movie, and then do an audio commentary of the whole movie. And then Elaine and I recreated one of the lost scenes that was cut out of the film when it first came out. So there's a lobby card illustrating that scene and photographs, but the scene doesn't exist anymore as far as anyone knows. So we did the audio and matched it. Dave Edison matched it to the visuals, and so that was really huge fun, really fun. So
there's also a commentary on ripple effect.
Yes, we did the commentary on ripple effect, and we should put that out more broadly shortly. And then we're doing all these videos for the Kickstarter campaign, which is you know, we have to hit 48,000 and we don't get a penny of it. We're up to 30,000 with 13 days to go. And here comes Elaine, yay! So while she's kind of squaring things away with the dogs and all that, I'll answer one more.
There's a good one here, yeah.
Okay, sure.
Bubridge says, when we're making a TV show or movie or novel, what do you think are the keys to effective world building?
Yes. You have to go kind of deeply into it. You have to kind of think it through, because the fun part about science fiction and fantasy, if done well, is you have the sense that you could go that way and there'd be an entirely new set of stories, or that way and there'd be the world allows for enormous numbers of narratives and characters. And Star Trek has that, Star Wars has that. I mean, you know, any good science fiction universe has that, but you have to really do a lot of thinking and making notes. And so a lot of the notes you make are not necessarily story notes, they're detail notes about that world. And but you can't let that overwhelm your story or your characters. And particularly in television, as I said earlier, characters have to really be people that you care about, or the audience won't stick around. So here's Elaine, yay! So it's your turn, Elaine. Go for it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're plugging away.
Yeah, I took my turn already.
Yes, to keep the
things going,
the wheels on the tracks of Space Command,
Yay.
which is interesting.
Yes.
I have a number of socially conscious projects. So what I'm looking for now here and in London, in England, and Wales, are companies that can help me financially get these things mounted.
Yes.
So it's not science fiction. It's
memories.
It's memories.
Yeah.
It's basically character-driven, socially conscious films which deal with some serious topics and characters, and they always have a hopeful, upbeat thrust.
Cool.
So yes, if anybody knows of any smaller companies that like to do serious dramas with vaguely comic overlays, that would be much appreciated. Who have a little bit of money, then they're not multi-million-dollar things, but a couple million would be very appreciated. So so that's about where I stand right now. But I have been happy continuing writing on Space Command.
Yay.
I have a number of projects that are of various degrees of easy sells. So
Yep.
some harder, some less.
Yeah, it's fun. So great. 3 cheers. Yay. So I think, unless someone has an extra question, we've come to the end of our evening's foray into wonderfulness. And but definitely Ani, definitely check out, connect up with David, because I think that the great part about working with us and for us and all of that is that you're free to ask questions about how things work and how things actually get made and get done and get out into the world. most people who are trying to make films or TV shows don't succeed. And the ones who do succeed for very specific reasons. And it's not random at all. And so make sure that you learn from people who know what they're doing, whether it's us or not. And but I'm really glad the table exists. I'm really glad Mr. Sci-Fi exists. And the reason Mr. Sci-Fi exists, by the way, is that I was having lunch with Glenn Mazzara a couple years ago, and he was the showrunner on Walking Dead, and he's a friend. And he said, you know so much about science fiction, you should have your own YouTube channel. And I thought, that's a good idea. And it's the same as when I was a commentator on Morning Edition on NPR, which is many of my projects are enormous projects that take years, like Space Command, like the Guillermo book, like the Twilight Zone Companion, like all the TV shows I've been on. And so I like also to have things that I can offset that with that are easy and small, where I can just talk for a few minutes and send it out to the audience. So for sorry about the dogs. For 3 years, I was a commentator on Morning Edition doing commentaries that lasted 3 minutes. Now I get to do that on Mr. Sci-Fi and build an audience of millions of people. So it's great fun when the dogs aren't barking. So so on that note, thanks guys. It'll be great to see you next time. And if you need anything, just
well, one thing.
Yes.
Now that I've had something to eat and I'm comfortable in my jammies, I just want to reiterate how terrific David was.
Yes.
Yesterday, he gave me some fabulous ideas. So
Yes.
thank you.
Exactly, and I think we should also know that David really taught you a lot. That taught you everything you know about lighting, because right now what we see is
not about lighting, but about paint. Oh yes, I see what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
About painting. I painted
your scene, Mark. I let you guys, so don't complain.
Yes, we're visible. So great. Well, thanks a lot, guys. And oh, by the way, one last thing that's a super cool thing. A spacesuit from 2001 was just auctioned off, and it went for $375,000.
Oh my God!
And it may be the one that my friend
Did you get it?
No, God no. But I would have loved to have. But my friend Greg Jean, years ago, he was a prop maker. He made the city in Blade Runner and the mothership in Close Encounters. One day he was working at MGM, and they had been ordered. Some people at MGM, some of the workers had been ordered to empty out a warehouse and throw everything out. And he looked at a dumpster, and on top of it was a spacesuit from 2001. So he took that home. So it's very possible that that's his spacesuit, because none were known to exist, and that one does. And so I'm very glad that it survived, and I'm very glad that it's going to have a. I don't know who bought it. I hope it was a museum or someone who will really allow people to see it. But that's one of my favorite spacesuits of all time. It's a great design. So that's it for now, and we'll talk soon. And thank you all, guys. Bye. Yay.
Thank you. Good night.
Cheers. Bye. Bye, guys.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Take care. See you soon.
Stay well, everyone.
There. Bye. There. Okay. We're done.